Peggy Serino, Everett. Have ARPA monies ever been handled appropriately by the guy in the corner office? We got the $47 million ARPA monies in May 2021, and it's being distributed in 2025, an election year. Do you really believe the guy in the corner office had to take 4 years to distribute this money, or is the guy in the corner office doing this because it's an election year? What about the ARPA money gift cards with 25 cents, 50 cents on them when someone went to use them? What happened to the rest of the money that was supposed to be on the gift card? Are the business ARPA grants being given out fairly, or are buddies of the guy in the corner office getting them? What about the ARPA money we got in 2020 and wasn't spent, so $2.3 million was returned in the fall of 2021? Can you just imagine what any of our Everett people could have done for their families with $2.3 million? The house you could have bought so everyone in the family had their own bedroom. I shared a bedroom with my sister. Do you remember the roof in the old high school being called a renovation? I don't. I remember it being called a new roof, plus a renovation is when you make something as good as new. Do you think covering over a roof that has been leaking for many decades and must have mold in it, making it as good as new? I don't. A waste of $10 million in ARPA money. I would like to thank Councilor Marchese and anyone who signs on to his resolution requesting that all parties, businesses contributing to any mayor's legal defense fund not profit from the city. I think this would solve a lot of problems for our city. How many cities or towns have a guy in the corner office who refuses to do a host agreement with a casino in the city or town, and their property taxes have doubled in 10 years? That's what happened in Everett. Thank you.
Next speaker is Reverend DeRocha.
Good evening, honorable members of the City Council. Over 100 years ago, that's 113 years ago to be precise, Mayor James Chambers stated in this chamber, "Let us meet the issues at once, honestly, openly, and fearlessly, and yours will be the reward of a satisfied conscience." That's why I'm here tonight, to ask that the city of Everett and you, honorable members of the City Council, to assist EHCC in demanding that the city of Everett remove EHCC's name as a subrecipient of the ARPA funds. $464,000. $721.53. Let me repeat, $464,721.53 was submitted to CHA and for EHCC as a subrecipient. We served as an in the advisory board, and then EHCC decided that there could be conflict of interest, so we decided that we were not going to apply. And then after we thought about it, we said, okay, well, then we're not going to apply as a grantee because we felt there was conflict of interest. We're not judging anybody else that participated, but we will be a subrecipient of CHA. Then afterwards, we received, the funding. CHA received the funding, and then we thought about it. We said, you know what? We don't want any of it. With a clear conscience. And we asked CHA with meetings and in writing to ask the city remove our name in its public record, and whatever record that is, of this grant. We sent an email to Madame Duvernay, CC to the mayor, and also leaders in our community. To date, the public record shows that EHCC is a subrecipient. Now, if you were to receive 464 and plus, or $112,000, members,
the time
would you not want your name to be cleared out of that because you're not receiving that money, and that to know if this money is going to residents of the city, the taxpayers' money to recover as it was intended to. We ask you to help us do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Paula Sterini.
Good evening. For the past 4 years, many of us have come up here to raise concerns about fraud, waste, and abuse by the mayor and his administration. The agenda tonight highlights the concern I believe the council sees with the mayor's spending and business practices, especially with the handling the ARPA funds. But first, I want to talk about the curb cuts at Rich Street, the property owned by Mayor's supporter. How does the mayor explain the DPW cutting out a curb cut without any approval, and only to have it pay a private contractor to restore the sidewalk back to a normal state after a butter complained? Someone sent me a picture of the mayor's front yard, and ironically, his sidewalk isn't a sidewalk, but pavers that match his driveway. I put in a public request to find out if he got a variance, who paid for the pavers, because they look pretty much like his driveway. For months, this council has raised the request to have an overflow day. The mayor's chief of staff stated it cost $48,000. So how or where did the mayor find money for the homecoming and the temporary speed bumps, which I'm sure cost the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, but can't find $48,000 to do something for the residents of the city of Everett who really want the trash overflow? By the way, I noticed speed bumps on Prescott Street are gone. But now on to ARPA, and I want to give the Reverend an applaud for being brave and conscientious, for standing up and calling out the whole process for this ARPA. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a consultant firm to manage the handling of the ARPA. It's a disgrace on how the money was spent and dispersed.
Thank you, Paul.
But I give her kudos.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joanna Guerin.
Joanna Guerin, Ward 2. I would like to speak tonight about the resolution to formally condemn the misinformation posted by Tricia McLaughlin of Homeland Security regarding the 13-year-old boy taken by ICE from Everett. It is my understanding that juvenile criminal records are sealed, and yet Ms. McLaughlin posted on social media about how this boy, quote, had a history of violent assault with a dangerous weapon, battery, breaking and entering, and destruction of property, end quote. How could she have had this information? I think what is more likely is that she simply made it up in order to justify the actions of ICE taking this boy out of state. When a government decides that they can label certain people as criminals without evidence or due process, then we are all at risk. It is a tactic that dictators use to keep people frightened and complacent. That is not what America is supposed to be. I urge all of you on the council to vote yes on the resolution to condemn Ms. McLaughlin's remarks. Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Fortin.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for having me here this evening again. My name is David Fortin. I live in Ward 4. Congratulations to you, Holly. Proud of you. You did a good job. I have two things on my agenda. One is I list as an agenda item, and the other one, I'm not sure if it's non-agenda or not, so I'm going to leave that one for the non-agenda items. I'd like to talk about the kidnapping of an Everett youth. Rumors have it, and they're floating around the city, irregardless of what anyone says. Rumors have it that ICE agents hang around the police station. I doubt this, seriously, but that's one of the rumors. And if so, it needs to be looked into. What will happen if we can't get this young man back? Are we looking at another lawsuit? And when can we expect to have him back? And what are we, as a city, doing about this? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jeff Parenti.
Good evening, councilors. I also wanted to come up here to talk about the kidnapping of the young child from our city a few weeks ago. You all know that I'm a veteran. When I enlisted, I was under no illusions about our government being trustworthy in a lot of cases, but the current administration and their minions have taken it to a new level. We know that he did not have a gun on him. Whether or not he has a record, it doesn't matter. He shouldn't be in Virginia away from his family. He should be here. And who among us hasn't made mistakes when we were teenagers? We wouldn't be where we are. None of us would be where we are if it wasn't for those mistakes. And when you're that age, you don't have the same capacity to understand the consequences of your decisions. So he may not be an angel. I don't know. I don't know him, but that's not for the administration to come out and lie about him on a national stage so that they can get their worst supporters to cheerlead for them. It's despicable. It's disgusting. It's not why I serve. This country has gone downhill in the last 20 years at least, and I support this resolution.
Our final speaker on the agenda item section would be Cynthia Salazar.
Good evening, everybody. Cynthia Salazar, Ward 4. Congratulations. I just wanted to come here, as always, to kind of remind you guys of your jobs. First of all, I do want to commend you all because I do think that I really appreciate your action to investigate and look deeper into the transparency of how the ARPA funds are going to be, or how they've been distributed, because it just doesn't really make sense, right? We know that some groups have been getting several millions, whereas some groups are only getting tens of thousands. Why the disparity, right? Are we asking these questions? Who's in charge of this? Who's deciding these things? I really appreciated earlier, Councilor Matusky, when you were talking to the new grad guy, and you were really honing in on that one interruption or whatever that's in the intersection. I really appreciate that. But why don't you do that also with the finance department or whoever's doing that with, distributing the ARPA funds? We should really look at everybody, not just the new grid, the national grid guy. And then on top of that, right, we have people that are criminals, people that have done things wrong, people that have stolen over $200,000 from the city and are still in charge. Meanwhile, we have a 13-year-old whose picture is publicly posted on the news, national news. This is unacceptable. Why is it that a person that has stolen over $200,000 from the city is still in charge, and a child that is 13 years old is being sent to Virginia and is now in the hands of somebody else. I really applaud you guys for what you're doing to really bring justice to the city, and I hope that you stick to your guns and don't let anybody make you sway in their direction. So thanks, that's enough.
So that concludes the public speaking, public participation portion on agenda items. We're now moving on to non-agenda.
On non-agenda, the first speaker is Asbel Lopez.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Asbel Lopez. I've been living in Everett for almost 30 years, and at 53 Cleveland Ave, and I'm also a taxpayer. The reason why I'm here tonight is because more than 2 years ago, I've been having a sewer problem. I found out that my house was getting wet, my basement was getting flooded. So one night that I came down, and it was because of my sewer. So I had to call the plumber. The plumber came, snake it out, open it, and then 2 months later, it got clogged again. So I had to call the plumber again. So they came over, and he said, there must be something else stuck in there. So he had to open it and stick a camera through the sewer. And he found out that it was a wire rod that was coming from a pole that is right on my sidewalk. And that's a wire coming all the way down. And he said that rod is stuck in there, and it's go through my sewer, causing the clogged up on all the stuff that is thrown in there in the drain. So that metal rod is coming from the wooden pole that is on the sidewalk, but I came to the city and spoke with the engineering department. They told me that they will take care of it, and that was almost over 2 years, and I still having those problems. So every 6 or 8 months, I have the sewer problem again. The smell is bad, as you know, the backup is very terrible. So I can't live like that. And so the engineering department told me that they will take care of that. They talked to I don't know who, but National Grid answered once, and they said they will come over and take care of it. And until now, nothing happened. Just talking, but nothing is being solved. So I'm here tonight, so maybe you guys can help me to solve the problem, because I can't live in a house like that, and I can live with a smell, and you know how bad it is.
Thank you.
So it's very bad. So I appreciate if you guys pay attention on that
Thank you
and
for
give
your
me a
time.
solution.
Sure.
You know.
Thank you. The 2 minutes have expired, but if you want to leave the information on your address with the council, then we'll follow up with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next speaker is Peggy Serino.
I'm going to read a letter that I received. I think the public should know that the mayor is trying to hijack homecoming for his political benefit, trying to influence the election on November 4th. Homecoming is October 25th, 10 days before the election on November 4th. In an attempt for re-election, all homecoming expenses will be paid for by the mayor's office instead of the school department. Everett's homecoming is going to be larger than it has been these last few years, with many events for our residents at both Everett High School and Everett Stadium. And continuing with his re-election barbecues around the city, the mayor is hosting a food festival at Everett Stadium. This sounds like another barbecue, only larger and more costly. How much of our tax dollars is he going to spend for his personal gain? Where did the guy in the corner office find this money? He claimed he found it. Did the guy in the corner office open his desk drawer and find all this money and just keep spending it? Don't expenditures have to be voted on by the council? There is a city budget that was voted on by the council, and to make changes to the budget, doesn't the council have to vote on it? Is this another case of the guy in the corner office thumbing his nose at the council? We all want a nice homecoming for our children, but we don't want our children to think you don't do things properly. 2025 is an election year, and I have heard that there are people who are afraid to vote because the guy in the corner office will know who you voted for. If you go to the polls, no one has the right to look at your ballot. All you have to do is put it face down on the machine and put it through. If you have to vote by mail-in ballot, have someone you trust help you. And remember, you have to put a stamp on your ballot and mail it in. Remember, the people at City Hall have no right to see or tell anyone who you voted for. If you don't like how the guy in the corner office is running the city or how a councilor always votes with the guy in the corner office, you have the right to vote them out. The only way you can change anything is to vote. You can't complain if you don't vote. Thank you. And once again, if I may say, I really feel badly that whoever is writing me these letters isn't writing to their own counselor. That is terrible, that they don't feel that they can.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tina Marie Oliveri.
Good evening, Council. My background is in human services, and in my travels around the city in the last few weeks, in my visit to Glendale Towers, I am beside myself about the condition that those individuals are living in. Why are the most vulnerable residents, elderly, veterans, and disabled living in subpar conditions? I saw evidence of residents having sticky traps outside their doors, and there were dead cockroaches in them. I spoke to some of the residents, and they shared that there are also bed bugs and mice within the building. Now, I do not know much about who is in charge. I'm starting to learn some things for my the track that I've been on. The state and or the city, but someone is responsible for how these individuals are living and being treated. These are our aunts, uncles, grandparents, children, and this is unacceptable. We must do better. Where is the accountability for this property? They are human beings, and their quality of life matters. Maybe we should concentrate on current buildings that are occupied instead of building new ones that are empty. And what about that $2.3 million in 2021 that was returned to APA? We probably could have redid that whole building over. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Paula Staree.
Good evening. We received $47.1 million in May of 2021. How many people in Everett still don't even know that we got $47 million? It's the biggest criminal use of money I can think of. It started in 2020 when we got a little over $3 million in CARES money, and like Gina said, we sent $2.3 million back to the state because we didn't have enough time to spend it. But the city had enough time to pay George Regan $100,000 to do a PR piece on the city's website, but couldn't pay the school department $470,000 in COVID expenses that they had receipts for. The excuse Demas gave you was that they were too strict. They're not too strict that they couldn't spend $100,000 and pay Regan Communications to do a PR puff piece on the city's website. Recently, you paid off the legal expenses for the lawsuit without getting an unredacted version of it. There are names on that bill that were not part of the lawsuit. So what did you pay for? You don't know. And how much did we pay in the lawsuit? What are the details in the lawsuit? It's our money. We should know how much this costs The bad behavior of the people listed in that lawsuit, we should know, and they should have to pay the expenses and not the taxpayers of Everett. Flooding in Everett is a major problem throughout the city, not just in the new developments. It's on Cottage Street that has been happening for the last 20 years.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bill Thompson.
Good evening, councilors. Bill Thompson, 142 School Street, Sacro Plaza, Ward 6. Just be real brief here. I came across this actually a few days ago, less than, I said 4 days back or so. And I know there's a lot of controversy for the last number of years in the city. I've been living here over 24 years now. And it has it's not a title of this here, but it's about being fooled. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what is not true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. And I think that sums it up, what's been going on, without getting into names or nothing like that. Election day is coming up, November the 4th, 9 days from today, or 8 days from today, excuse me. And I just hope whichever way people want to vote, they get out and vote. Because to me, if you don't go vote and you want to complain about something, then shame on you. Thanks, that's it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dave Fortin.
Good evening again. David Fortin, Ward 4. I believe this to be a non-agenda item because I couldn't find anything on the agenda for it, but it's regarding city traffic, scooters, and bicycles. Last night, I was driving, doing an errand, and this young boy, I think it was a young boy, dressed all in black, had a black scooter, electric scooter. He went between two cars, two parked cars, and dashed right in front of me. Well, I threw my brakes off, of course. What is being done about safety in this city? We need something by the police department, I believe. They used to always give out license plates or some form of identification to enable the person or the child to ride the bike. That's probably before most of your time, but I remember it. We need some kind of a safety program in which to train these young kids and how to ride these things. I don't want to have my name blasted in the paper saying da-da-da-da, kill so-and-so on the road because of. They're not going to say that little boy was coming between two parked cars. They're not going to tell how it happened. They're just going to say that it happened. In Everett, we need really to do something about this. It's getting more and more hazardous as time goes on. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Jeff Parenti.
Good evening again. So I'm here because last week, I and some friends and some organizations that I'm in, fellow veterans, we stood out in front of the State House and we called on the governor to refuse to allow the Massachusetts State Guard to be used in any of these deployments that President Trump does across the country in cities that don't need it, like Portland and Chicago, where it's only antagonized things, and LA and Washington, D.C. too. It's only antagonized things. It's not what the National Guard is meant for. They're supposed to be there for emergencies. And so I tried getting some of our state representatives, and Senator DiDomenico, I tried getting them to come out or make a statement, but I'm just one person that most of them don't know. So I would ask that the city council try and get the state, our state representatives, our governor, to be more proactive in this. I know the governor has said that it's not necessary for these deployments to come to Massachusetts or to Boston, and the Attorney General has said that these deployments are illegal, but they haven't said what will happen if they try and call up our National Guard. And once it's done, it's done. It's going to be hard to reverse it. So we need to be proactive in it. This is incredibly wasteful. The money that he's spending on this to intimidate our fellow citizens could be used to greater effect anywhere else.
Thank you. And that was our final speaker.
Motion to close public participation.
Motion's been made and seconded to close public participation.